Well, welcome back, Sister Wives Now. You won't believe what is going on this time. Just when viewers thought that the drama involving Kody and Robyn Brown couldn't get any more complicated, the two have stunned everyone. Once again, with their most scandalous move to date. After all those months of silence, breakdowns, and public melodrama, the Browns are back with a so-called fresh start. But this new start is wrapped in deceit, denial, and a thick coat of red dust. Literally, yes, you heard correctly. Kody and Robyn's ideal home in Flagstaff, Arizona, is proving to be a nightmare in disguise. A sprawling $2.1 million mansion located close to an active volcanic cinder mine, where poisonous clouds of dust sweep through the neighborhood regularly. And while Kody boasts on TLC of how it is a new chapter for the family, viewers on social media are ripping the move apart, labeling it reckless, hypocritical, and downright dangerous. Now, if you are a Sister Wives saga fan, you know that Kody and Robyn enjoy a good show. They've spent years painting the picture of a couple who values family health, wants peace, and cares about safety. Remember when Robyn refused to let her kids see the other wives' families during COVID? When she sobbed about fragile lungs and health concerns? When Kody lectured everyone about safety protocols and claimed they couldn't even risk stepping outside? Well, here is the twist. The very same couple who said they couldn't afford to get a cold are now residing in a home less than half a mile from an industrial source that poofs dust into the air, a mine that neighbors have been complaining about for decades. Environmental records and county reports indicate that the neighborhood of their new home is full of fine red dust particles, which are known to trigger coughing, asthma, and even long-term respiratory problems. And yet, on television, we see Robyn stroll across the property, ear to ear smiling, informing cameras. This feels like a new start. It is closer to the girls' college, closer to church, closer to everything we love. Fans sent social media into immediate meltdown. One Reddit commenter posted, "A new start. Attempt a new lung illness." Another on X, previously Twitter, commented, "Robyn's definition of health and safety must have shifted overnight." The comments section beneath TLC's promo clip went wild. Thousands of viewers accusing the Browns of lying, manipulating, and once again putting optics over reality. But this is where it gets creepier. This house isn't a spur-of-the-moment pick. It has been on and off the market for years, selling several times since 2002. Property listings reveal that 5 different owners have had their turn, with some leaving after just a year or two. Residents refer to it as the house that never stays sold. And if that doesn't bellow red flag, I don't know what does. The property, located at the end of a quiet cul-de-sac, looks like something out of a luxury magazine. Big windows, dark wooden siding, and panoramic views of Arizona's red landscape. But behind that picture, perfect shot, is the real story, an active mine just beyond the tree line, known as Sheep Hill. It's one of the few remaining volcanic cinder pits in the region. Trucks thunder past all day, dust storms sweep over the valley, and even residents miles distant complain about fine red powder covering their outdoor furniture, air vents, and vehicles. When it was announced that Kody and Robyn purchased this particular property, Flagstaff environmental activists were shocked. One resident in a Facebook group for the community posted, "No one with kids or asthma would live next to Sheep Hill by choice. It is a health nightmare." Another commented, "When it is windy, your porch turns orange." But that is not deterring the Browns, and it is not merely about a house. It is about the image. This buy is just right for Kody's long history of fixation on control and presentation. Since Christine, Janelle, and Mary left, Kody's been dying to get his story back. He wants to present himself as stable, successful, and in control again. A luxurious home, even one constructed on shaky ground, is the ideal prop for that facade. Fans noted something ominous. Kody said to TLC cameras, "I need a place for Truly, a space where she can feel at home." But viewers quickly caught a lie in plain sight. The house has only 4 bedrooms and 1 office. There isn't even room for all of Robyn's own children, much less an additional room for Truly, who doesn't live with them. Reddit lost their minds over that line. One of them penned, "He is still acting for the camera, lying about custody just to look like a devoted dad." And that is precisely what it sounds like. Another staged delusion. Kody's fatherhood has become as performed as his marriages. He is pursuing camera, not real connection. Fans have been watching this dynamic for decades. A man so desperate to show the world he is coming out on top, even as his own family is breaking apart. At the same time, Robyn's emotional story goes on. During the episode, she states, "I feel like this home gives us a clean slate, away from all the pain," but the fans were not convinced. Instagram comments overflowed with responses such as, Robyn, you can't move away from karma. You don't get a clean slate when you built your happiness on someone else's pain. That house may be big, but you can't hide the truth inside it. And honestly, it is difficult not to notice the irony. The same pair who once professed, we can't risk exposure, is now inhaling air full of industrial pollution, and faking it is tranquility. The symbolism couldn't be more poetic. Environmental records for Coconino County indicate that the Sheep Hill mine has been the subject of several complaints during the last 10 years regarding noise, dust plumes, and air quality violations. Research indicates that the particles emitted, PM 2.5 and PM 10, are fine enough to penetrate deep into lung tissue. These particles, usually not visible to the naked eye, can exacerbate asthma, trigger chronic bronchitis, and even lead to long-term damage to heart and lungs. Now picture this. The Browns relocated their whole family, including small children, straight into that danger zone. Fans who have watched Robyn's health saga unfolding are labeling it the biggest contradiction in Sister Wives history. One fan shared on Facebook, they said COVID would kill them, but they'll live beside a mine. The hypocrisy is breathtaking. And the most bizarre thing of all, the color of the home. When initially constructed, it was pale tan color. However, at some point within the last few years, it was painted deep reddish brown, the same hue as the dust that blows off the mine. Locals guess the color change was deliberate, to cover the visible accumulation of volcanic residue. A neighbor quoted by a Flagstaff blogger even went so far as to say that dust sticks to everything. Some people repaint just to hide it. Yet, despite all these glaring issues, Kody and Robyn are doubling down on the dream home narrative. They've filmed emotional confessionals about peace, healing, and rebuilding. But viewers aren't fooled anymore. The illusion of family unity has cracked too many times. Christine's freedom, Janelle's independence, Mary's quiet defiance. They've all pulled the curtain back on Kody's control and Robyn's manipulation. So is this new house really a clean slate? Or is it a diversion, another bright object to deflect eyes from their failing reality? Fans appear to believe the latter. On Reddit, one person wrote, each home they purchase is symbolic of their marriage, large, costly, and coming apart at the seams internally. Another said, they don't want a new beginning. They want a new narrative. But what if there is more to this move than mere optics? Some watchers think the Browns' new house could be a last-ditch effort to cover up assets or wipe financial obligations after the family spent years piling up debt. Real estate records reveal a convoluted history of ownership and refinancing of their homes. Kody has frequently boasted about his business acumen, but insiders say the family's finances have been strapped since Christine and Janelle left. And Robyn, she's always been strategic, emotional, yes, but calculating. Her decision to buy this house in a market still recovering, in a location that raises eyebrows, feels less like an accident and more like a deliberate choice, a way to say, we're still standing, even if everything around them is sinking. The conflict between perception and reality has never been more acute. Every viewer is aware that something's amiss. You can detect it in Kody's artificial grins. You can sense it in the anxious laughter of Robyn. You can sense it in the way their story arcs never quite correspond with the truth. It is as if the house itself and its dust, its echoes, its red-stained siding, is a metaphor for the Browns' entire trajectory, a gorgeous exterior covering a stifling truth. And still, as much as audiences decry, they can't turn away. The anarchy, the inconsistencies, the emotional chaos. It is toxic. Each time Robyn weeps, each time Kody assigns blame to someone other than himself, each time the facade shatters ever so slightly, the viewers lean in a little bit closer. Because secretly, everyone is certain there is more to it all. More secrets, more deception, more devastation. But for the meantime, one thing remains evident. The Browns' new beginning is founded on poisonous soil, literally and emotionally. And as dust galls up around their new estate, viewers are beginning to wonder about the one thing that Robyn and Kody don't desire to hear. How long until this new start becomes another end? Because if history has already taught us one thing, it is that wherever Kody and Robyn are, the storm follows. And that, friends, is just the tip of the iceberg for this tale. So before we dig deeper into what is actually going on behind closed doors, before we break down the lies, the money, the health risks, and the backlash from the family, make sure you enjoy this video, subscribe, and tap the bell icon so you never miss a single news update from Sister Wives. Now, believe me, what is next will completely turn your life around what you believed you knew about the Brown. The photograph is nearly movie-like, a monolithic Flagstaff mansion nestled into the harsh beauty of Arizona's red soil, sunlight catching glass windows, the soft hum of pine trees in the distance. To the untrained eye, perfection. But if you zoom in closer, if you step just a few feet past that perfectly manicured lawn, the picture changes. The quiet disintegrates into the screeching rumble of industrial vans, the chemical whiff of dust hanging in the air, and the creepy realization that this new beginning for Kody and Robyn Brown can be a slow-motion disaster. It is known to local residents, the reddish dust that covers automobiles at night, the fitful coughing that erupts in dry season, the eerie fog that clings low to the ground each morning when the wind changes. They refer to it as the Flagstaff fog, but it is not a fog in the least. It is cinder dust, tiny volcanic particles that escaped from the Sheep Hill mine, one of the San Francisco volcanic field's remaining active cinder pits. The mine doesn't merely sculpt the landscape, it penetrates it, the air, the ground, the houses, and now, the Brown so-called dream estate lies directly in its path. When word came out about Kody and Robyn's newest real estate acquisition, fans did not hesitate to highlight the irony. These were the very individuals who had previously avoided family gatherings due to germs, who practiced lockdown policies tighter than some hospitals, and who cried on television about the prospect of getting ill. Yet now, they're breathing air that, according to Arizona's Department of Environmental Quality, can contain elevated levels of PM10 and PM2.5, particles so small they can pass straight into the bloodstream through the lungs. It didn't take long for social media to explode. One Reddit post titled, "Robyn's fresh start is a toxic mess," racked up over 4,000 comments in a single day. One user wrote, "She told her she couldn't risk COVID, but she'll risk permanent lung scarring. Make it add up." Another posted, "They're literally adjoining an industrial complex. You can't pray the dust away, Robyn," even Twitter. Now X was merciless. When you transition from fear of germs to fear of geology. But aside from the memes and jeering, there is real worry. Environmental scientists for years have been saying that long-term exposure to volcanic cinder dust, particularly the ultra-fine particles, can lead to asthma, chronic bronchitis, and cardiovascular stress. Sheep Hill Mine, the facility adjacent to the Browns' land, has also received numerous complaints from neighbors in the last 10 years about noise, dust plumes, and property damage from the large trucks that drive through the neighborhood every day. Imagine this. You step outside to your car in the morning, and it is speckled with a fine red film. You clean it off, but by lunchtime, it is back again. That is life on the edge of Sheep Hill, and that is what the Browns' new neighbors live with all the time. Here is where things take an even darker turn. This isn't the Browns' initial questionable real estate move. Over the years, there has been a pattern observed by fans, a series of short-term transits, spontaneous purchases, and fresh starts that never actually pan out. From Las Vegas to Flagstaff, they've bounced from place to place like a family fleeing from their own shadow. This new home is their 7th relocation in only 15 years. That is almost one every 2 years. And each time, the same script unfolds. Kody espouses a new chapter, Robyn weeps over starting over, and viewers prepare for the inevitable implosion. So why this home? Why here? Real estate experts theorize that the purchase was status-driven, not strategic. The history of listings on the property is interesting. It sat on the market for months, even years, and couldn't sell. At one time, its price fell almost 20%. Realtors working in the area claim the reason is clear: location. The close proximity of the mine makes it all but impossible to keep clean, quiet, and healthy in the long term. For most families, it is a deal breaker. For Kody and Robyn, it is clearly a bargain. They might have selected dozens of other homes in quieter, safer neighborhoods, but those wouldn't have been so photogenic. This one, with its movie star driveway, sweeping staircase, and panoramic view, screams prestige. It is great for television and awful for reality. Viewers on YouTube have been dissecting each footage of Robyn moving through the house. In one frame, she states, "I just feel peace here." But take a closer look, and the sky behind her isn't crystal blue. It is foggy. A reddish color muddies the horizon, like an eternal sheen of dust suspended in the air. People caught on in seconds. That is not peace. That is particulate matter, free lung seasoning with their dream house. The internet is merciless, but beneath the sarcasm is something more sobering, an increasing feeling that Kody and Robyn are in denial, and it is not just fans speaking up. Friends close to the family have quietly indicated that Robyn's health problems have already recurred since relocating. Nothing on the record, naturally. Browns are great at keeping unpleasant realities out of sight, but rumors of incessant coughing and irritated sinuses have begun circulating among Flagstaff locals. One even reported to a blogger, "It is ironic. She said she couldn't stand to live near sickness, but she brought her children into the middle of a dust storm." And talking about the children, they're the ones most vulnerable. Robyn's children, still young teenagers and young adults, spend their days at home, studying, attending church services, or assisting with chores around the property. Air quality reports from the county indicate that chronic exposure to even low concentrations of cinder dust can have cumulative effects on respiratory health, particularly in children and young adults. Onlookers online Oratrix. One popular TikTok with more than 500,000 views stated, "You can't be a protective mother if you relocate your children beside a mine. That is not maternal urge. That is insanity." And perhaps that is what makes this whole scenario so tragic. Robyn's narrative has always been about protection, protecting her marriage, protecting her reputation, protecting her kids. But in pursuing the myth of safety, she has established the opposite. Meanwhile, Kody's motivation seems more transparent than ever. After losing his relationships with Christine, Janelle, and Mary, Kody's world has shrunk to one household, one wife, one storyline, one last chance to look like the patriarch he still imagines himself to be. This house, in all its dusty grandeur, isn't just a home. It's a statement. It says, "I'm still in control," but the public isn't believing it. Not anymore. Comments on TLC's most recent post are savage. "He is not rebuilding, he is performing." That is not a new beginning. That is denial with a mortgage. You can repaint the walls, but you can't clean the air. And here is the creepy part. All of this feels symbolic. Kody and Robyn have spent years constructing their lives around image. The good couple, the joined forces, the family's moral guide. But each veneer of that image, much like the house, is gradually disintegrating under the pressure of the very world they've elected to live in. Dust settles on everything in the end. It moves in no matter how hard you clean, no matter how tightly you seal the windows. You can clean it away, but it always returns. The same might be said of Kody and Robyn's dysfunction. You can paint over it with a new coat of paint, but the cracks remain, spreading, widening, inevitable. There is a scene in one of the new episodes where Kody is standing in front of the camera, gazing out over the property, and says, "It is peaceful here." But then the camera cuts to his face, and you can almost see it, the tension in his jawline, the flash of doubt behind his eyes. He is trying to reassure himself as much as anyone else. Peace doesn't exist like that. It exists like pretending, and that's the real tragedy. Beneath all the drama, the infighting, and the headline, you're watching two people who've built their world on illusions. Illusions of family unity, of moral superiority, of safety and control. And now even their physical home, the one thing meant to ground them, is built on unstable, unhealthy ground. The irony couldn't be louder. The symbolism couldn't be clearer. Because what do you do when you construct your life in an environment where the air itself is poisonous? What do you do when your quest for perfection takes you somewhere unsafe, not only emotionally, but even physically? For the Browns, the answer is slowly revealing itself. The dust is settling. The neighbors are gossiping. The fans are watching more intently than ever. And the truth, like that nice red powder, can only remain concealed for so long. So what comes next? What happens when the family who long obsessed with protection finally knows they've left themselves open to something much worse than judgment? Real danger. We'll find out soon enough. But one thing's certain, this fresh start is already clouded, and the longer they stay, the thicker the air will get. And as the wind shifts over Flagstaff and the dust begins to settle, both literally and metaphorically, the question remains, are Kody and Robyn living in a dream, or are they already suffocating in the consequences of their choices? Don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and press the bell icon so you never miss the next update, because what is going on inside that so-called dream house is only getting worse, and the truth about the Browns' poisonous paradise is about to emerge. There is a peculiar quiet about the Brown family these days, the sort that whirs just before a storm. But if you pay attention, the silence is not peace, it is pressure. It is the rumble of a family working to keep intact an illusion that is already slipping out of their hands. Because since Kody and Robyn settled into their so-called toxic dream home, what is going on behind closed doors isn't harmony. It is fallout. The cracks soon started appearing almost immediately. Christine, who has always maintained distance from Kody's new world, reportedly responded in shock and sadness upon realizing where the property was located. During a live Q&A, when a fan asked her what she thinks about Kody's new mansion, she provided a stiff smile and said, "I wish them well, but that area has its challenges." It was diplomatic, but anyone who has ever followed Christine knows how to interpret between the lines. That wasn't shade. That was restraint. Janelle, being the realist that she is, went further in a private chat leaked through a family member. "It is just like him," she supposedly said. "Sounds good on paper, sucks in real life. That place isn't safe for kids." And she is right. Local news coverage still describes the environmental risks surrounding the Flagstaff property, the same red cinder dust, the same heavy truck traffic, the same local complaints. But for Kody, those cautionary tales are irrelevant. What is important is control, ownership, perception. The vision of standing in front of cameras and declaring, "I built this for my family," only now. That family has ever been more diminutive. Mary, the initial wife, the original girl, has been wonderfully quiet. Her social media messages have changed tone, mysterious quotes regarding truth revealing itself, cleaning out the toxins, and staying in your lane, protecting your peace. Fans did not miss it. "She is referring to Robyn's home," a commenter wrote. "Toxins. Yes, both physical and emotional." On TikTok, Sister Wives fans have turned Mary's quotes into viral sound bites. Clips of the mansion, red dust swirling in the air, drone footage showing its proximity to the mine, play under her audio saying, "Sometimes God removes people from your life because they've already started digging your grave." The symbolism isn't subtle anymore, but as the ex-wives stay far away from Kody and Robyn's mess, the fans are mounting. There is an increasing trend on social media, not only that they're making fun of the couple, but that they're also demanding accountability. Fans are calling on TLC to cover the environmental issues openly. Here is a viral post with more than 2 million views. "This is not drama anymore. This is child safety. TLC has to clarify why they are shooting children in a known dust danger area, and the anger is growing. You can sense it in every YouTube comment, every Reddit thread, every live stream chat." Folks aren't simply fed up with the hypocrisy. They're furious about it. Furious that Robyn, who used to position herself as the protector, now appears to be the enabler of Kody's fantasies. Furious that Kody, who lectured on spiritual leadership, is now simply pursuing ego trips while his kids pay the price. But the real tragedy, and the thing that makes this entire saga so compelling, is the ripple effect. Because while people argue online, the brown children are the ones getting to deal with the reality of that dust, that noise, that instability. And as the wind shifts over Flagstaff and the dust begins to settle, both literally and metaphorically, the question remains, are Kody and Robyn living in a dream, or are they already suffocating in the consequences of their choices? Don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and press the bell icon so you never miss the next update, because what is going on inside that so-called dream house is only getting worse, and the truth about the Browns' poisonous paradise is about to emerge. There is a peculiar quiet about the Brown family these days, the sort that whirs just before a storm. But if you pay attention, the silence is not peace, it is pressure. It is the rumble of a family working to keep intact an illusion that is already slipping out of their hands. Because since Kody and Robyn settled into their so-called toxic dream home, what is going on behind closed doors isn't harmony. It is fallout. The cracks soon started appearing almost immediately. Christine, who has always maintained distance from Kody's new world, reportedly responded in shock and sadness upon realizing where the property was located. During a live Q&A, when a fan asked her what she thinks about Kody's new mansion, she provided a stiff smile and said, "I wish them well, but that area has its challenges." It was diplomatic, but anyone who has ever followed Christine knows how to interpret between the lines. That wasn't shade. That was restraint. Janelle, being the realist that she is, went further in a private chat leaked through a family member. "It is just like him," she supposedly said. "Sounds good on paper, sucks in real life. That place isn't safe for kids." And she is right. Local news coverage still describes the environmental risks surrounding the Flagstaff property, the same red cinder dust, the same heavy truck traffic, the same local complaints. But for Kody, those cautionary tales are irrelevant. What is important is control, ownership, perception. The vision of standing in front of cameras and declaring, "I built this for my family," only now. That family has ever been more diminutive. Mary, the initial wife, the original girl, has been wonderfully quiet. Her social media messages have changed tone, mysterious quotes regarding truth revealing itself, cleaning out the toxins, and staying in your lane, protecting your peace. Fans did not miss it. She is referring to Robyn's home, a commenter wrote. Toxins. Yes, both physical and emotional. On TikTok, Sister Wives fans have turned Mary's quotes into viral sound bites. Clips of the mansion, red dust swirling in the air, drone footage showing its proximity to the mine, play under her audio saying, "Sometimes God removes people from your life because they've already started digging your grave." The symbolism isn't subtle anymore, but as the ex-wives stay far away from Kody and Robyn's mess, the fans are mounting. There is an increasing trend on social media, not only that they're making fun of the couple, but that they're also demanding accountability. Fans are calling on TLC to cover the environmental issues openly. Here is a viral post with more than 2 million views. This is not drama anymore. This is child safety. TLC has to clarify why they are shooting children in a known dust danger area, and the anger is growing. You can sense it in every YouTube comment, every Reddit thread, every live stream chat. Folks aren't simply fed up with the hypocrisy. They're furious about it. Furious that Robyn, who used to position herself as the protector, now appears to be the enabler of Kody's fantasies. Furious that Kody, who lectured on spiritual leadership, is now simply pursuing ego trips while his kids pay the price. But the real tragedy, and the thing that makes this entire saga so compelling, is the ripple effect. Because while people argue online, the brown children are the ones getting to deal with the reality of that dust, that noise, that instability, and deep down, they all know it. They can sense it in every groan confession, every argumentative monologue, every hollow vow. Kody and Robyn continue to reassure, we're happy, we're safe, we're finally home. But take a close look, and you'll catch something chilling subtlety. They never say, we're healthy, because how could they? You can't breathe peace in poisoned air, and yet the dust just keeps piling up, literally and metaphorically, so that you can't help but ask, how much longer can they fake it like everything's okay? How much longer before the reality they've hidden under piles of lies finally strangles the image they've worked so hard to maintain? Because eventually you can't out-talk reality. You can't outrun the fallout of your own decisions, and you sure as hell can't screen the air forever. So the question becomes, who will crack first? The house, the marriage, or the fantasy? Because one of them is going to fall, and when it does, it won't be silent. It never is. And as the lights go dark and the dust again settles on Flagstaff's crimson hills, one thing is clear. The Browns' fresh start is the most public implosion in reality television history, and it is just getting started. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell icon so you never miss an update, because what is going on behind that house isn't just another family feud. It is a ticking time bomb of lies, secrets, and toxic air ready to blow wide open. The more you delve into this tale, the more difficult it gets to discern where the television show stops and reality takes over. Because what is unfolding presently in the Brown home isn't only family stress. It is a psychological breakdown camouflaged as a story on television. Behind those mansion walls, the cameras pick up only pieces, snatches of argument, rapid cuts of Robyn sobbing, Kody striding back and forth in exasperation, the children sitting in stony silence at the kitchen table. Off camera, however, that is where the true chaos resides. Crew members have begun to murmur. Editors are allegedly being requested to cut down scenes in which the children cough, or scenes in which Robyn grumbles about the smell wafting in through the windows. That smell. It's the mine, the same one environmental reports describe as producing persistent, fine particulate pollution, the kind that can seep into homes even when doors are closed. But to Kody, it's all just noise. According to a source close to production, when the topic came up during filming, he snapped, "We're not doing another crisis. I'm done with negativity." That single sentence captures everything that has gone bad for the Browns. They've made denial into a survival tactic. Robyn, once portrayed as the empathetic peacemaker, now seems more like the anxious gatekeeper, protecting Kody's ego at all costs. Neighbors say she rarely leaves the house except for quick school runs or church. Inside, she reportedly insists on keeping the air purifiers running 24/7 and refuses to open windows, even on clear days. She is paranoid about dust. A past friend confided to an online tabloid she'll clean surfaces 3 times a day. She keeps saying, "I can taste it in the air." In the meantime, the children, particularly the younger ones, are in the middle of the emotional conflict. Picture growing up in a house that is designed to be your refuge, but is now a anxiety and tension fortress. They're taught it is a dream home, but they cannot play outside. They're taught it is a new beginning, but every breath weighs on them. Psychologists who have studied reality television families refer to this as the narrative dissonance effect, when the narrative presented to the world is totally at odds with the emotional reality within the household. It causes confusion, embarrassment, and long-term stress for the involved children, and it is happening to the Browns right now. Viewers who've been watching the show for more than a decade can spot the difference. The light-hearted vibe of the early years, the laughter, the road trips, the crazy dinners, has been supplanted by tension-ridden moments where Kody rationalizes his choices and Robyn does quiet approval with nods. The fun is lost. What is left is a performance. But the twist isn't just emotional. It is also strategic because from allegedly leaked inside gossip among TLC show workers, the network fully understands just how provocative this house is, and instead of steering clear, they're exploiting it. Think about it, the word toxic is trending. The audience is hooked. Viewers are debating air quality, health risks, hypocrisy, and every argument means more engagement, more clicks, more ad revenue. The Browns' toxicity, both literal and emotional, has become a storyline goldmine. One producer reportedly described it as the perfect storm. You've got environmental danger, family drama, and public hypocrisy. It's the trifecta of reality television. But what they're not discussing in public is the moral line. Because when does capturing dysfunction turn into exploiting it? Online fans are already making that argument. Reddit discussions with titles TLC knew and didn't care and Protect the Brown Kids are picking up steam every day. One of them, shared thousands of times, says, "This isn't entertainment anymore. It is negligence. You can see those kids struggling. TLC, do better." And yet, in a cynical aside of irony, that indignation is precisely what ensures the cameras keep rolling behind the scenes. Producers are allegedly urging Robyn and Kody to open up more about the house, to discuss how it feels and what they're struggling with. It is framed as empathy. It is actually emotional extraction because each tear, each meltdown, each hysterical response adds depth to the show, is drama. And for Kody, okay, so long as he remains in command of the storyline. Control, however, is slipping quickly. Inside sources indicate Kody's tantrums have become more erratic. In one shooting session, when anger management treatment skeptical producers asked him about his troubled relationship with the older children, he reportedly stormed off set yelling, "They don't want me. Fine. I don't need them. I've got Robyn." Minutes after that, he was on camera again, smiling, detailing how this new chapter feels healing. That is not real life. That is performing in pressure. And Robyn, her meltdowns are now the show's emotional fulcrum. Every week, she is in tears about the house, the family, about Kody's reputation, but it is no longer vulnerability. It is desperation. Viewers began dubbing her the Queen of Deflection and accusing her of using emotion as a weapon to shield Kody's reputation. Others are empathetic, saying she is trapped, the last wife standing, still emotionally tied to a man disintegrating on television. And all of it, all of those tears, all of those fights, all of that shot of that red-stained backyard is being cut into a single narrative, Kody and Robyn's road to redemption. But redemption doesn't reside in that dwelling. It can't, because every visual signal speaks another narrative. The curtained-off windows, the chronic scrubbing, the lack of laughter, the quiet breaks between takes. Even the light, low amber, nearly claustrophobic, mirrors the atmosphere. They've constructed their own gilded cage, and now they're shooting from within. What is perhaps most disturbing, though, is the appearance of choice. Robyn frequently says that she and Kody selected this house based on where it is, how peaceful it is, how close it is to church. But in reality, they didn't have much choice. Flagstaff's real estate market has constricted. Their credit, tattered from several years of debt and family squabbles, defined what they could pay for. The toxic dream home wasn't the dream choice, it was the sole choice. So they did what they've always done, rewrote the struggle as fate. It is the same script they've relied on for years. When polygamy failed, it was God's test. When the relationships ended, it was spiritual realignment. Now that the environment itself becomes aggressive, it is a new beginning, but devotees aren't swallowing it anymore. The comment sections are savage. They're living in denial, literally. It is poetic justice. Kody built his kingdom on sand and now he is choking on dust. This house is a metaphor for everything wrong with them. And perhaps that is why this story feels so devastating. Because in a sense, it is not just a story about a house. It is about consequences. All the choices Kody has made, All the wives he pushed away, all the kids he dismissed, all the warnings he ignored, brought him to this: a mansion constructed on tainted earth with no sound, only bitterness and filtered air. And the worst part, he doesn't even realize it. He is on his balcony, looking out over the hills, discussing legacy and redemption. Legacy isn't about square footage. It is about the people who still want to stand next to you when the dust settles. And there aren't a lot left right now. The show can cut around the tension. TLC can turn down the coughing. The family can take smiling selfies, but the reality haunts. Heavy, impenetrable, unavoidable. You can't disinfect the air, and you can't disinfect the truth. No longer. Because outside the walls of those mansions, America is watching. And the more the Browns pretend that everything is okay, the more cacophonous that viewing becomes. And if anything can be learned from history, it is that no PR can overcome a scandal as poisonous. So the question is, who is really in charge? The producers, the network, or the viewers who finally decided they won't turn away? The dust may be red, but the truth beneath it is black and white. Deception always sees the light of day. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that little bell icon, because the reality of what is truly going on behind closed doors in Kody and Robyn's toxic dream home is darker, deeper, and a whole lot more explosive than anyone's ever been permitted to know. And the grand finale is yet to come.